Welcome, everyone, to the Ultimate Advisors Resource Podcast. I'm Jordan Pence. Today, I have my good friend Susan on from Unboxed Advisors. And today, we're going to have an interesting conversation, I think, right?
I think so.
So, really, I think just working with other professionals, right? Like that's kind of the topic today. How to how to maybe work with other professionals. I don't know if
Mhm.
that's going to cover it enough, but Susan and I were just talking and kind of about the challenges when you're dealing with maybe your clients' advisors or the other advisors that they work with or other advisors in general. And I I guess it's a challenge because everybody feels the need to be right, right?
Well, or it sort of becomes like "Well, I know more than you" contest. I know
Yes.
that too, I know that too. And it's like, you know, collaboration has to be sort of there's a sort of different bent to it and a different angle, and everybody has to show up a little bit differently, keeping, of course, the client in mind as the top priority. And maybe, be open, listen a little bit more, not listen to respond, but listen to listen and
Yes.
see what information the other professional can offer up that would allow you to contemplate solutions differently.
I agree completely. And, a lot of these, and this is really what we were talking about. It's like there's so many decisions that you can make that you cannot model out, right? Like they're really opinion based, not fact based. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So yesterday, my husband owns a business
Hmm.
and he recently hired an employee and they were talking about this treatment method. They do a lot of facial type stuff.
Yeah.
And she has a way of doing it and he has a way of doing it. It's just a different approach.
Yeah.
And that's okay, but they're both entitled to having their own way of doing something and approaching something based on their own experiences, what results they've seen, what outcomes. So that's what it sort of reminded me of as we were kind of talking about what this topic was going to
Hmm.
be is like
Hmm.
everybody comes from a different place.
Yes.
And so we just have to be open to listening to where the other person's coming from because it could be that one little tiny nugget of information or piece of experience or what they've done in the past could completely alter the trajectory of an outcome for a client. I mean, completely
Oh,
for the
yeah.
better.
Oh, yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. Totally.
we need that type of input, but
Yeah.
we all have to show up a little bit differently for the client in that way.
Yeah, I think so. And I think also, and I'll give the story that just happened to us recently in a minute, but you almost have to take into consideration the fact that the client chose to work with both of you.
Hmm.
And
Yeah, good point.
you cannot just say, you know what, Susan, your ideas are dumb. My ideas are right. We should do my ideas instead of your ideas.
True. Yeah, I mean, the
Right?
client is expecting you as professionals to learn how to work together
Yeah.
and sees the value in the expertise that each of you are bringing to the table. And
Which I think with your practice, you're doing a good job with that because you're working with a lot of clients, other advisors, right?
yes, but I will tell you, Jordan, that there are some times where I show up and I'm giving the other person a chance. Sometimes it's financial advisors, sometimes it's an attorney, and I am a little mortified, maybe even terrified, because I feel like sometimes it's like, why haven't you asked this question?
I,
I mean, I'm asking a question that I thought the person in that position really had the duty and responsibility to do. And then start thinking, what else are they are not doing? I mean, maybe I need to be looking out for my client a little differently here.
well, and that was the first thing I was going to ask you. You know, professional neglect is probably more common. I think a lot of advisors, maybe financial advisors in particular, but also attorneys, they they maybe don't ask the questions or they don't address the things that an outside person might see. So what what do you think that mostly looks like? Like what's the
Hmm.
most common professional neglect or overlook that you see?
Yeah, a couple things. One, from a financial advisor's perspective, when I work with a financial advisor, they have such a tremendous opportunity to provide value to their clients because they can work on a financial plan. And that financial plan gets into their thoughts and feelings and their view of the future, access to all the information in order to do that.
Yep.
So the number one thing that I see, like number one sign of professional neglect I see when it comes to a financial advisor is there's no financial plan for that client. If they don't have that, I automatically think, how are you advising them to make investment decisions or yay or nay on doing this, private placement investment or whatever or alternative? Like you don't know their time horizon, you don't know their spending expectation in
That's a
the
good
future,
point.
like all these pieces of information because you don't have a plan. So I would say advisors do plans. They have the tools, the
I mean, right
technology.
capital costs like $300 a month, and
Yes, it's
e-money's
cheap.
maybe $400 a month.
It's and most of them have it,
Yeah.
and it's not getting done,
You
and
know
it makes me wanna cry.
you know what's really funny about that? And this it had nothing to do with you and I talking today. I was driving back from Houston on Wednesday and of course I'm bored, so who do I call? My dad, right? And so we get to talking and he's like, "You know what? How many of the advisors you work with actually put plans together?" And I was like, I don't know." I gave him a couple of names. He's like, "Well, maybe those guys, but I don't think any of them are doing anything." And I was like, "Well, that's a good point. I mean, probably not." He's like, "They're all just asset gatherers." So I was like, "Okay, well, maybe in some cases, but I think the problem is they get somewhat comfortable. Like they probably put together a plan initially to get the client.
Mhm.
Like, you know what, I'm going to do this plan for you and we'll set the plan in motion. And there are good advisors out there that are
There
redoing
are.
the plans.
There
So I
are.
don't mean to throw the whole profession under the bus.
Agreed.
I'm a CFP, you're a certified wealth strategist, certified tax advisor,
Strategist.
strategist. So why is it CTA? Oh,
It's CPA.
CTS. I thought it
Yeah.
was CTA and CPA. So, but I guess the point of that is you get comfortable, I suppose.
I think so, and I mean, I do sort of feel bad, like, just with CPAs, financial advisors sort of have the same issue in that they
Yes.
get paid more money as
Yes.
they get more clients who have more money under management.
Well, and really they get paid on the money under management, not the plan. And the CPA is the same thing. They're getting paid to do the tax returns, not doing a plan.
That's right, yeah, so it's almost like there's no incentive for them to do it.
That's why they need to work with somebody who's incentivized to come up with a plan.
Right. Or ask them to, like, when you start working with somebody, say, hey, can you bill this differently? I mean, and wealth managers have the ability to control how it is that they're billing.
They do.
They can say, hey, a plan every year is a flat fee, $2,500 or 5 grand or whatever that number is, depending on plan
And the
complexity.
asset under management is 1%.
That's right. And so, they bill extra on top of it. But that plan is really just clutch. You got to have it. Everything else you're doing, making decisions is based on that. And it leads to a lot of other
Well, that's what
opportunities.
I was just going to bring up. If you're doing the plan regularly, insurance is going to come up,
Yes.
long-term care,
Yep.
fixed annuity products, things like that are all going
Yep.
to come up if you continue to do the plan.
Yeah.
And actually, part of my dad and I's conversation is, the only people that are planning for income are the people that are selling annuities because, the annuity guy will find out what your budget is and then sell you an annuity to pay you that income, which was kind of an interesting way of looking at it. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know why it's like that. I think it's the
I don't either.
incentives.
But it's not just financial
Yeah,
advisors.
we're
So
somewhat picking on the financial
we are.
advisors,
It's
but
not just them. So I mean, I've
well,
had
that case that we're dealing with
right now, I
yeah,
can't get an estate planning attorney. I mean, it's like that, like they just don't have time.
yeah,
Like, and even though the client's big,
yeah.
I think from a total problem to solve, it could lead to a lot of work to do from a tax or a
Well,
state
especially
tax.
if they do a private foundation or something like that,
Right.
which I don't remember if they already had that or maybe they did
Yeah,
already. Yeah.
yeah, so, I mean, you just, like it's not just maintenance for the client, it's maybe the thing about professional neglect in my mind is that you're neglecting a client when you don't keep coming back and saying, "How can I be of value to this client? What more can I do to help them solve what has changed that maybe I should be thinking about things differently for them?"
And maybe that's the attorney's problem as well because they don't have fact, that'd be a good idea. If you're an attorney out there listening, maybe you need to put them on some type of annual bill or and maybe even every 5 years you come in. You know what, we're going to review the documents. The review costs you $1,000, but we'll review it all, make sure it's all up to date because almost never do you put documents in place in 2025 and then 2030 they're still good.
Right.
Almost never.
I can tell you how many times even the estate planning attorney that I have worked with has called me back 2 years later and said, "Hey, has anything changed? Are you interested in talking about this estate
Yeah,
plan
hell,
again?
you
Has
might have
any
gotten divorced in the meantime or something crazy. You know,
right?
anything could have happened.
Does that happen? No. What? Like, take care of your customers. It's not happening, and I don't know why. I
And
don't
they
get
could
it.
actually generate a lot more revenues
Yeah.
easier because it's easy to work with a existing
Right. I
client.
mean, I think Wayfair is doing a better job of this. Okay. They send me a text. We miss you. Come back. We'll give you a promo code. I mean, like, it can't be that hard, you know?
Amazon does a better job.
Amazon, they send me notifications. Hey, we
Every 3 days they're telling me that they've got batteries on sale or whatever.
how is it that we are educated, qualified professionals and we can't get that figured out? Like, it doesn't make any sense, you know? Ugh.
That is a really good point. I
Yeah.
think Amazon or Wayfair loves you more than your attorney.
Right. That's sad. It's actually really sad, but it's true.
It's very true, and that kind of brings us into what do you think about credentials and standards and maybe even CE, but licensing requirements and transparency among that? Like, it's kind of you think about it, like, there's so many people, and I'll pick on advisors again, there's financial advisors, but that term has become somewhat diluted because that could include somebody who has an insurance license, it could include, someone who's a CFP, it could include someone who's registered with a broker-dealer, you know, it's a broad range of
Yeah,
people that
I
are
mean, like,
financial
you could
advisor.
call me a financial advisor.
You really could.
I mean, I have my Series 65 and I'm a certified wealth strategist.
Actually, that's a really good
But
point.
I don't do that work, but,
Right.
I mean, theoretically, I guess you could say that. So,
Well, and
yeah,
technically, you could say, "Well, I do tax planning," right? Like, because I
sure.
talk about
Right.
taxes.
Of course, well, and that's covered a lot in the CFP,
Exactly.
curriculum. So, here's the thing that I would suggest to anybody, okay? Look everybody up.
Yeah.
Just look everybody up. I mean, attorney, I mean, anybody. I mean, it's the same thing you would do if you were hiring an employee. You're gonna do a background check. You're gonna check them out. You're gonna like make sure that this person is legit. They've got the background, the education, the experience. You gotta do the
Yes.
same thing for your professionals. And I get that we're sort of in the referral business
We
where,
are, yeah.
you know,
Trust is sort of, what's the word I'm looking for? Transferred or
right, yeah,
kind of
because if I said, "Hey, you should use this person to do, all like, I don't
whatever.
know, like,
Yeah.
yeah, mow your yard," you're gonna be like, "Okay, well, Susan says he's a good guy. I'm gonna go with that." I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
that's good. I think people need to do their due diligence on
Yeah.
their own, or better yet, another thing to do is like, let's say that it is you need a new accountant,
Right.
okay, and you talk to your financial advisor. Okay. And maybe you've gotten a referral from somebody else. Go and talk to your advisor. Do they know that person? Have they ever worked with them before? A lot of times, especially in like a metropolitan area, I mean, there's sort of like some information known about the professional in a networking
Oh, yeah.
capacity, or I've worked with them in the past. How is their firm, kind of
You've
reputation,
run
all that.
across them, and so if you've been in the Dallas-Fort Worth area or the Houston area or Austin, wherever you're at,
Yeah.
you've probably somewhat run across various professionals, to a certain extent.
Yeah. But look them up. So, I
Yeah.
mean, CFP has a website where you can verify their credentials.
Yeah.
The enrolled agents, if they're just doing tax work on the IRS website.
Yeah, it's
Every
easy.
CPA, state board, there's
Yep.
a state designation. So go to the state board and look them up.
Yeah.
I mean, you can see all sorts of information. When they got their license, has there been any disciplinary action? If they are,
Broker check for FINRA
yeah,
and the SEC, you can see if they've had any disciplinary
yeah.
actions.
I've seen that before too, where somebody's like license was revoked. Same with the CPA and stuff like that.
Yeah.
People don't check.
No.
You can't trust Google either because sometimes Google takes a long time to update.
Yeah.
So just because it says, Joe CPA, that could be wrong.
Yeah, no, no,
So
no, I totally agree with that. And in some circumstances, especially on the financial side, you've got to be a little bit careful because I've seen people with like marks on their U4, which is like could be a complaint or whatever. But some of that stuff is innocuous, like you've got to kind of sift through it. Just because someone has a disciplinary action doesn't necessarily mean they're a criminal or anything, but
right. Yeah, I was like, "Oh, I didn't do my CPE one year. I was
yeah,
late or something like that." Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, I get it.
Like I know a couple of guys that probably have marks on their U4 because they sold some REITs and the REIT went belly up and then the client sued and then it's like, okay, well, I mean, maybe he didn't do enough due diligence, but if the product provider did something wrong, it wasn't necessarily on the advisor.
Advisor,
So
yeah.
that's a challenge, I think, as well.
It is, but it should warrant a discussion.
At least you can bring it up
At
with the
least you can bring it up, and as the client,
yes. At least and then you can say, "Hey, Susan, I saw you had a complaint in 2015.
yeah.
What was that all about?"
Exactly, and then you can sort of understand how professional that professional really is,
Yeah.
because if they're gonna be transparent, talk about it,
Yeah.
and explain it, and not get defensive, and you know what I mean, like, going back to that whole being disagreeable thing or trying to be
Yeah.
right, like, it kinda gives you sense as to how they're going to show up for you, especially when
Yes.
times get a little bit tough or they are challenged. So,
Yes,
I
that's a really good point. And you can even ask like, okay, what were some of the things that like how did you try to deal with this client when this problem arose? Like, okay,
mm,
they lost a bunch of money in some REIT that you recommended. That
mhm.
sucks, but what did you do?
Yeah. Or even talk to your client about it and say, "Hey, look, I would encourage you to
Mhm.
go look me up, and
Yeah.
this is what you're gonna find.
Yeah.
And here's why it's important
In
for me to
fact,
tell you this."
if I had a mark on my U4, a complaint or something, that's exactly what I would do.
Right. I mean, get
Preemptive.
ahead of it and
Yeah.
talk to them and explain your credentials and why it's important, why you pursued them, how it helps them. I mean, I think that's a real key point of differentiation. Like I know a lot of wealth advisors end up getting both the CFP and then they go get their SEPA.
Mhm.
Okay, well, because the exit of a business is really I mean, that's a usually a big dollar amount.
Yep.
And working towards that, there's a lot of planning that goes into optimizing that value. So,
Mhm.
explaining what those credentials really mean to that particular
Mhm.
client, super helpful.
Yeah.
Like, talk about it.
Yeah, the SEPA is an interesting designation. You don't have the SEPA, do you?
I do not, but my business partner does.
That's right. I was
Yeah.
like, one of you have it.
Yeah.
Um, no, and for a person who manages money, that's a good opportunity once they
It
eventually
is,
set up.
it is, but it's also one of those things where it's like, okay, well, once that person sells their business, and now, of course, they've got a giant bundle of
Yeah,
money to
$10 million
invest, which
dollars or
is why,
whatever.
of course, that's the angle that financial advisors get in it on, but it's like beyond that, what are you gonna keep offering to these individuals? Because it's not just about that piece of it, there's so many other wealth management issues to bring up.
Yeah.
So,
Well, so we're working on one, and I don't know. Do you mind if we share this?
no, yeah, we can talk
Okay,
about it.
we're working on one that's pretty interesting with your client. That's got they're already pretty high net worth, but they've got a piece of a business, I think it is,
Mhm.
that they're going to sell, and then the sales are going to net them another what 10-15 million,
Yep,
and they've got a financial advisor.
they do.
Financial advisor hasn't brought up any of this.
Nope.
They've got an estate planning attorney who's disagreeable with what we were talking about, right?
Real it's somewhere between, like, disagreeable and non-responsive, like, it's almost apathetic, maybe
Yeah.
the right word, like, "Whatever, do whatever you want."
Yeah.
Okay.
So Susan and I got together and we were like, okay, they've got this tax problem, but they also potentially have an estate issue.
Mhm.
And what was really interesting about these people is I think they're young enough to do a lot of things. And so this 15, whatever the sale was, $15 million, that's going to be a quite substantial tax hit. And that's really their primary concern, right?
Yeah, I mean, right now that's, I mean, it's the thing that they're facing,
Yeah.
right? Which is like, "Ouch, how do we try to mitigate that?"
So when Susan and I met, we discussed a charitable remainder trust. And the cool thing about this is it can accomplish two goals, right? So we get the sale into the CRT, which mitigates the tax on that portion of it, gets them a deduction. And then the income that we're spending off of the CRT, we're going to gift that into a trust to pay for insurance.
Right.
And it's about $30 million of insurance. So
Right. I think it's like basically the cost value wise to them is about $4 million, but it will yield $36 million worth of insurance. So basically, you 9x your money
exactly.
immediately.
Exactly. And
It's crazy.
the benefit of using that CRT is we're going to mitigate some of that the
Right.
tax on the sale. So
Right.
that's the power of like having a professional look at the situation because financial advisor's not coming up with this.
Didn't show up.
The attorney
Didn't
didn't even
show up.
want to talk about it because
Didn't
we actually talked
didn't
to a
show up.
different attorney
We
about it.
did, that's right, didn't show up. I mean, like, that's exactly why I mean, I get a little discouraged, Jordan, because I'm like, where are these people? Why are they not here for their clients? Why are they so this is where I go to this, like, it's just they're neglecting their clients because these ideas this is not like
No,
rocket science.
no, because the CRT, that's been around for a long time,
Yes, it's not
and
like brand new, there's no gray area. I mean, it's
pretty
thoroughly
straightforward.
documented. Yes, it's pretty straightforward. This is like not revolutionary at all. No, nor is an eyelet.
No,
Neither of these things are like, oh wow, this is really complicated.
just
Eh,
straightforward vanilla type of just
Planning,
planning, all right?
exactly.
Like, that's all it is, and I think part of it is possibly the way that you're doing your business sort of lends itself to trying to work with the other advisors in the way that, like, if I'm managing $20 million of somebody's money or even 10 million or even 2 million, I'm making a decent amount. Why try
Don't rock the
anything?
boat. Is that what it is? Don't rock
Yeah,
the boat.
just don't lose money, make them a decent return.
Yeah, exactly. Just
Why get egg on my face by trying to recommend something? I think that's the problem.
could be. I mean, it's sort of like, don't raise your fee because you might lose a client. You know what I mean? It's like
Yeah.
kind of thing. So it's easier just to stay
Yeah.
silent and just keep collecting the money. But, you know, it's kind of an integrity issue to me. Like, I don't know. I feel like one of the things advisors could do, and I know it's like not everybody, I mean, many people are working with a lot of clients. Okay.
That's
But,
true. You
but
have to.
look at your roster. And if you could just segregate it somehow, segment it and say, okay, on Mondays, I'm going to wake up and I'm going to look at this particular segment, 10, 15, whatever clients. And
That's a good idea.
maybe you just break it up through the whole month or something and just ask yourself the question, how can I deliver more value to this client?
Yeah, review
Just
their plan.
one question.
Yeah.
That's it. How do I get more value to them? It could be, oh, I want to share a piece of information with them, something, the new tax bill that came out in the summer. Maybe it's, I saw an investment opportunity. Maybe it's,
And it shouldn't, and this is what we had Don Connolly on a little while ago, but it shouldn't always be selling them something either. It should
no,
be
no.
like an update, like, hey, this is going
Something,
on.
just be of value to them, like something. There has to be a way that you can provide some kind of value.
Well, and it's almost like you need to just review their plan. I mean, even
Agreed.
if you
Yeah.
called them and said, you know what, looking at this, I think we're still on track, or maybe we're a little behind, but this is going to work,
Yeah. Or has
whatever it
anything
is.
changed? Like, hey,
Yeah.
I see that you were going to, retire in 2 years. Are you still on track for that? Okay. Well, oh no, you've accelerated it. Oh, now you're going to retire next year. Okay. Well, let's set up a meeting and come in and let's talk about it.
You know what? If you really think about it, probably most advisors' practices have the 80-20 rule, right? 20% of the clients probably account for 80% of the revenue. So if you have 300 clients, that's still 60 people, I guess.
Yeah.
So maybe just do it for those people.
Right.
The other ones, maybe you can't help, but
And maybe they're not maybe you can't provide as much value.
yeah,
So maybe you're already providing value by the fact that
you're
they
helping them.
even have an advisor,
Yeah, that
right?
they
I
have
mean,
an
like, okay,
account. Yeah.
you're actually showing up in that way, like
Yeah.
somebody's eyeballing it. Or if you've got a junior person on your team, can you
Send it to
assign that to,
them.
yeah,
Yeah.
give them the ability to build that muscle of like asking that question and really showing up that way. So I just feel super passionate that we're going to continue to see more issues where clients are unhappy, dissatisfied, and leaving their professionals, even though they quote unquote like them.
Okay, so then to that point, what have you experienced with your clients that they say is a problem with their other advisor, whether that be financial advisor, you could say
Mhm.
insurance agent, probably mostly financial advisor though, because they've sort of taken over that kind of quarterback
Yeah,
role,
they have. Ish.
sort
Depends.
of.
Sort
Yeah.
of. Depends.
So what's the biggest complaint that you hear from them?
They don't listen.
Really?
Yeah, they don't listen. So they're not. It's like they don't. Or maybe it's they're not listening to me. They don't get me. Like they don't get what I'm saying. Like they've
Really?
got their idea of like this is what you should do. Like this is what you should do based on all the information. Like, well, I don't want to do it that way. Like I want to do it this way. And so there's like a disconnect there.
So why did they go with them to begin with?
Well, maybe it's like they started with them and then things have evolved. A lot of times these are hard relationships to change. I mean, like, I've been working with this guy for 10 years, and they're
Good
like,
point.
I mean, like they're sort of entrenched.
Yeah, the longer somebody has been with an advisor, the
Oh,
harder it is to make. Even
harder
with
to
same
change.
with CPAs, even though the CPA, all they're doing is a tax return, but it's hard.
It's hard. And so I had a client, this was like when we first started working together. The client was working with the advisor. The advisor had inherited the practice from his father. Okay. So it was
Mm-hmm.
passed down.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and my client was like, "Well, I worked with his dad, now I'm working with him." It was awful. Lack of execution would be second behind not listening. Don't listen and then don't do anything. So, like, it was like, "Hey, we had, like, a lot of, capital loss carry forwards." I'm like, "Go create some capital gains because that's all free.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah, offset
Please."
those.
I mean, like, anything you can find. We get to the end of the year,
Nothing.
and it was losses. I was like, "Why would you harvest the capital losses? We don't need any lot." And it's like, "Don't listen, don't pay attention, don't ask questions, don't execute properly." And then, we had set up a 401k.
So like hundreds of thousands of dollars in losses carry forward?
Yeah, now some of that was legacy, like, again, like, it was kind of an investment gone wrong or something,
Right,
but
right.
you're sort of relying upon your advisor to help you, like, "Okay, well, let's go figure out how we can not pay tax on gains," right? And then, we had put some money in, made a 401k contribution, and then that sat in cash for, I don't know, 60 days or something when there was a major run up in the market, you know what I mean? And I was at that point, I was livid.
How did it stay in cash? That's
Because
so
he didn't do
dumb.
anything with it. It's like, okay, I mean, is your job as a financial advisor is to have like an investment policy of sorts, like money's going to come in. If you don't tell me, like we've agreed, like, it's almost like a boundary setting thing, like, right? Okay, we're agreeing that if money comes in, this is how we're going to
And it
invest
was
it
under
unless
his
you
control.
under his control. Yeah, it didn't do anything. And so, yeah,
Did they fire him
yeah,
after that?
yes. After I'm like, you need to switch. We have to get away from this guy. He
Gosh.
doesn't care about you. Doesn't show up, doesn't provide advice, doesn't execute, it's a problem. Doesn't plan,
I
no
wonder
I
how
mean,
big of a client that was to him. Hopefully, I'm assuming it was a decent size if you were working with him.
yeah, I mean, I felt like it was. I don't know, I wouldn't
You wouldn't want to lose him.
I mean, you don't wanna lose good people.
No,
So you take care
no,
of the good people,
yeah, no.
so I
That's a
don't
good
know,
point.
but I think that some of this stuff is super, super easy from, like, a service level standpoint. I think it's easy to maintain.
Yeah, you almost just need to have staff people that are
Yeah.
looking out for that stuff.
Yeah, or some type of automation or something, reminders.
You would
I
think.
mean, again, go back to the Wayfair thing. Like, we miss you. Like, let's have a meeting. We haven't talked to you in a while, But I think so many times, like, people are like, oh, I don't want to talk to that person because, like, I don't, like, this is kind of a waste of my time. Like, or
Yeah,
they're going to try to sell me something, or I don't need insurance. I'm like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
so instead of them kind of just coming at it from a different approach, it is sort of like doesn't it feels like a waste of time to the client. So they have to sort of change their pursuit of the client.
yeah. Maybe so. Maybe they just always need to. I don't know. That. Well, that story is not good at all.
Now it's terrible.
So, what do you think is the most common way that, besides what you just said, I mean, basically it was like complacency that they fall into neglect, especially when they're
Yeah.
like trying to grow their practice?
Yeah, I think a lot of it is that growth rate. So
Too
they
busy.
need to get into this, they're in the business development mode,
Yeah.
not in the take care of my client mode. So, I mean, if you're shifting into growth mode, I would just say you've got to make sure you've got an avenue for really retaining the clients because there's nothing worse. I mean, in any business, right? I mean, does it financial advisors? It doesn't matter. CPAs, it doesn't matter. Client turnover is bad, right?
Yeah,
It's
because you work so hard to get
get
those
them. Yeah,
clients.
if you
Yeah.
don't deliver, then they just leave. So, yeah, you need to keep them and retain them, and I think that should be ultimately the measure for a professional to be like, "Am I being successful?" If my clients are staying and I'm taking care of them and offering them value,
You
then
almost need to, hire for that.
you
If
do.
you're a good business development person, you're probably not a good service person,
That's probably true, yes.
right?
Everyone has their genius zone, as they say,
Yeah.
right? So,
Yeah,
um
execution. I mean, most good business development or good advisors that like to do that are not good at the follow through.
yeah,
And I
yeah.
think that's probably the big
Right,
mistake.
yeah, so get a good team, get somebody who's into the details and into the
Yeah.
follow-up.
Because that's a different personality,
Totally, 100% is the
you know?
maintenance in them.
Yeah, totally
And get
different.
feedback from your clients and work with the other professionals because if somebody if I'm working with somebody, a client,
Yeah.
and they're like, "Hey, what do you think about my advisor?" And I'm like, "I don't like like 'em."
Yeah.
That's gonna weigh on the client, like,
Yeah.
this is my challenge with them, like, I have these problems and these problems, like, I'd like to see you work with somebody better and different, so would you be interested in talking to this person? And they're a lot more open to that if you haven't, created a relationship with the other advisors.
You've
So
gotta do that, I think. And again, you and I were talking about this, at this meeting that I had. It was with a CPA, and some other advisor and mutual client, and so both a client of the CPA and a client of the advisor. And the advisor had some attorney on, and the CPA was wanting to move some assets into a trust or whatever, and the attorney was just ripping the CPA, and it was like at the end of it, this the attorney's like, "Well, why don't you put together a model that shows why that would be a good idea?" And it was just all an opinion discussion. So it's like, what? I don't know what model anybody's gonna put together to show what you want to see, but I don't
it's
know.
just
And it
like a
was just
"I'm
like
better than you" kind of
it was
I
exactly
know, like a
that.
contest of expertise,
It's
that's just
exactly
not
what it
what we're
was.
supposed to show up so much differently for our clients,
I know.
that's why I really appreciate working with you, Jordan, because it's we can have an open discussion where, I've plainly said, I don't know anything. I don't know enough about this. I know this much. Like, I need a depth of understanding. I'm going to lean on you, and
Right.
vice versa. I know we've kind
Yeah.
of gone back and forth. Like,
Yeah.
how do we take your cumulative knowledge and my cumulative knowledge and put it together and make something even better?
Yes.
That's how we have to work together as advisors. It's not a contest,
And that's what it
you
felt like
know?
with these people. And it was like, we got off the phone, and I was like, well, good luck working with those guys.
Right?
But the client is clients of both of these people, and it's like, okay, so now you're putting the client in a bad decision because we're gonna go to the client and say, these guys are hard to work with, but we think you should do this for these reasons. And the other guy's gonna go to the client and say, those guys are idiots, and you should do whatever because
Mhm.
of whatever reason.
Yeah.
That's a
It
big
feels
problem.
unfair to the client that professionals can't be, "Oh, I don't know, professional?"
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't know that it was necessarily the advisor that was on the call because he was trying to smooth it over. It was mainly the attorney that he brought on.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
anyways, doesn't matter. It is what it is.
And it's those experiences though that sort of taint your and now forever, if you do continue working with them, even if let's just say that attorney was just having a really bad day. I don't know,
Yeah.
something like
Yeah.
life was a problem that day. You're still gonna be
Defensive in any
that's
interaction.
right, because you
Any
think you're
interaction.
gonna get sort of criticized and instead of I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if I understand that mentality exactly,
I
but
don't either. And I think it's a big mistake long term. I mean, he would have been better off to acquiesce and say, you know what, I can see your points, but the thing that we need to confirm with the client is that they're okay with the complexity and just
mhm.
leave it at that.
Which is right, yeah, let the
And well,
yeah.
let's visit with them and go over the complexity of
Mhm,
it and decide if
mhm.
that's And if they want to do that instead, he was
Yeah.
like, "That's a stupid idea."
So, this is like eventually I became a student of Ron Baker. He's the guy who, in public accounting did all the
Uh-huh.
value
Uh-huh.
pricing and everything,
Oh
and his
yeah. Okay.
buddy, Ed Kless, who did a lot of work with Sage and does a ton of speaking and training. He did a training one time at my previous firm and always said, "Let curiosity lead the way."
Yeah.
That is a great rule to follow.
Yes.
Just, I'm curious. Tell me what you think about this. Help me understand your thoughts on this. I mean, just let your curiosity lead the way instead of this, like, I have to be right or I need to somehow appear or be perceived to be the most knowledgeable about it. Like, just be curious.
I
And it
know.
can really help you forge great relationships and create winning ideas.
I know. No, I totally agree with that. I totally agree with that. So, all right, some takeaways here.
Mm.
What do you think everybody could do to build trust and credibility with their clients?
Hmm.
Because I think you've done a good job at it.
Thank you. Well, same you. I think it's do what you say you're gonna do.
Okay, that's a good one.
I mean, I think that's really important. People, especially in the world that we live in, I mean, a lot of people make promises and then they just don't follow through.
Yeah, that's tough.
So I think it's important to do that. Um, I think it is important to be a communicator. I think that really builds trust because it's another thing where everyone's moving so fast. And if they can just get an email or a text or something that's like, I've got this handled or I'm following up on this, like it, your client begins to not only trust you, but I think that they also begin to rely more heavily upon you. And especially for financial advisors, they want to be in that
They
position
do.
because then the client is coming to you for everything. Like, I'm not sure I want to, I'm thinking about investing in this. I have some extra cash. What should I do with this? Like, they are going to be a lot more open and receptive. So I think if you really build that from the get
That's a
go,
good point. Yeah.
what would you say? What do you think is the best way to build trust?
I think listening.
Hmm.
Yeah, just listening. I think a lot of people in our business, financial services, whatever, insurance, they they don't exactly listen to what the client wants.
Hmm.
But I think what you said about the follow-up
Yeah,
and the follow-through is
I agree with
extremely
you.
important.
I 100% agree that they don't listen.
Yeah.
We have had a lot of instruction on
Yeah.
you should plan for 4%
Yeah.
distributions. You
Yeah.
should do this. You gotta get, like there's a lot of rules of thumb. But people are peculiar.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, yeah.
and they have their own preferences. So,
No, I agree, and
and you have to acquiesce to what they want.
and if you can just listen to what they say their concerns are, listen to what they want, and if you can solve those concerns with whatever you have, whatever solutions you're presenting, or maybe not, maybe you can't help them, and that's okay too. But if you can, if you can listen to what they want or need, then I
Mhm.
think I think that builds a lot of trust. But
Mhm. I think the other thing that you kinda said in there too is, like, even if you bring them idea and they say no,
yeah,
because you listened and you said, you heard them say, "I have a concern about this," and you said, "I have a potential solution for that."
yeah,
Even if they ultimately don't take that
they say
idea,
no. That's I don't
they
like
don't
that.
want it, that builds trust
Hmm.
because you listened,
Yeah.
and you responded to their concern, and now they know you will show up with the answers, even if they don't act on them right then, because they
Well,
might come back to it eventually.
and then the follow-up is if they do say no, you don't continue to try to convince them that that's the right way to
Right, right.
do it. You could
So
say, "You know
listen to
what?
the
I have
no.
3 other options. Let me go back to the drawing board." Or you say, "I can't I'm
Take
sorry,
the
I can't
L.
help you."
Take
Yeah.
the L.
Yeah, I just can't help you, you know? Yeah, don't do that.
Yeah.
Um,
Uh,
it's yeah, it's yeah, I think you're right. It's just I like listening. I think the follow through is probably lacking a lot in our
mm,
business. I think it's because of the nature of, I mean, let's be real. Somebody who's getting business, for someone that a financial advisor is a, a salesperson. I mean, that's basically what
yeah.
they are.
I mean, they have to be sort of multifaceted, but Um,
They gotta know stuff and they gotta be able to present stuff,
yes,
but
and gain that trust quickly and
yep,
get people to say, "All right, I'm gonna transfer all my money over to you."
yeah. I mean, you're
So,
selling your services.
yeah.
Um, I had an advisor told me, "You know what? We're not salespeople here." And I was like, "You're probably not a very good advisor."
Yeah, I mean, they've gotta do a little bit of that, right?
You gotta do a
In
little bit
order
of
to be
so where did the
successful.
clients come from?
Right? I don't know, they're just it's magical.
Yeah.
It's magical.
Just show up.
Wayfair, they get a
Yeah.
text, "We
Yeah.
miss you."
Anyways, any other thoughts, Susan, on this subject? I think it's an interesting
Oh,
topic.
just, don't neglect your clients. Take care of your clients. It's so important.
Bring in other
Bring in
professionals.
other professionals, work play nice with others, collaborate, offer value consistently and frequently.
I
Um,
mean, just like your client that we were talking about with the CRT, that other attorney is going to get replaced. If the client
right.
ends up implementing what we do, that attorney is going to get
Gonna get
replaced.
replaced.
And the
Yeah.
only reason they're getting replaced is because they didn't want to work with the other
Right. They didn't
advisors.
engage. So engage. If you are in a position where you can be the quarterback and the leader, assume the position.
Yes.
Do the work. Take it. Take the lead because it will pay dividends and opportunities going forward. It's a lot more work and a lot more effort, but it'll
Yeah.
be worth it for the right people. And if that means you got to pare down your responsibilities and shift some of those to perhaps junior people on your team, do it because taking care of great clients means they're going to stay with you. And that's what you want.
Well, and that's exactly what we've had Christopher Holpe on here, who's with Wealth Advisors Trust Company, and he said, "Don't not go to the estate planning meetings." And I think so many advisors will say, "Oh, you need an estate plan? Go see whoever
Mm-hmm.
down the road," and then they're kind of cut out. They're foregoing their
Yeah.
response, or
On their own
yeah,
accord.
yeah, they rather than what there's going to be a lot of complicated subjects. I know enough to be dangerous. Why don't I go with you?
Mhm. Yes, exactly. I'll help you. And sometimes this has been a common thing in estate planning things. A lot of times people are really scared of that process
Yep.
because they think they're going to ask a stupid question.
Yep.
So if you show up, you can sometimes know in advance, like, and ask some of the questions
Yep.
so that even if it makes you maybe not look as knowledgeable, you can ask maybe some of those simpler questions to sort of get the information, like get everybody comfortable with like asking questions and like even I, another professional, have questions about this, So
And don't preference. I'm going to ask this question. I already know the answer to this, but I'm going to
yes.
ask it
Oh
anyways.
my
Do not
gosh.
say that
Do
because
not
you
say
look like a jackass. Like, I already know the answer, but my clients are so dumb they don't know the answer to this, so I'm going to ask this question.
gosh, right? Oh boy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
Well, there is some a mentality shift, a paradigm shift that needs to happen
Yeah,
here.
don't do that.
Like
You
it's
look.
okay to be a little vulnerable.
Yeah, it is. And
So
then the other worst thing is like um just don't do that.
don't do that.
Don't do that.
Please don't do that. It's bad. So,
Uh,
yes, show up to all the meetings. Show up. Show up. Make that a new core value. I will show up for these people. I'm going to be present, willing, and able to help. Dr. Wayne Dyer said responsibility is respond with ability. That's what you should do. Respond
respond
with
with
ability.
ability. I like that. We can end it there.
There you go.
Great. Thanks,
All right.
Susan.
Thank you, Jordan. It's always fun.
Always good to see you. Thanks, everybody.